Hello, my name is Alain Thibodeau. I am a retired mechanical engineer, but most important of all is that I am passionate about photography since over 50 years. All that time, since 50 years, I try all kind of photography, and I've been also working in different fields of photography that include landscape photography, animal photography, bird photography. I even did some underwater photography. I've been working as a salesman in different camera shop. For some of those camera shop, I also implemented some 1-hour photo lab for them because they wanted. It was very popular in the 80s and the 90s, so they asked me to implement some photo lab. And finally, well, not finally, but before that, I've been working as a mechanical engineer for Ernest Lights Canada Limited, which is the maker of the Leica camera. Among all the different disciplines I tried into photography, my most preferred activities in photography is definitively macro photography and close-up photography. Because of that, I decided to create this YouTube channel to share my knowledge and discuss with you about different equipment you may need, and also show you some specific macro photography techniques that I know. I may sometimes go a little bit technical because of my engineering background, but don't worry, those technical information or technical demonstration I will do are only graphical demonstration. They are not mathematical with complicated formula. When we do close-up or macro photography, we often refer to a term called magnification. What is magnification? Magnification is the magnification ratio, which means the image size of the subject divided by the subject size itself. I explain myself. If, for example, you take an object that is about 10 centimeters long, which is about that size, and it reproduces on the sensor or the film about that long, which is 1 centimeter size, we will say that the magnification ratio is the image 1 centimeters divided by the subject size 10 centimeter, and that image ratio or magnification ratio will be 1/10 of an x. If you take a picture of a subject that is 20 millimeter long and it reproduces on the sensor 20 millimeter long too, then the magnification ratio is 20 divided by 20, which is 1, and then we say we have a 1x magnification or life-size magnification. Eventually, if you take a smaller subject like an ant, for example, a small ant or a fly, that is about 10 millimeter long in real life, and it will reproduce on the sensor about 20 millimeter long. Then if we take the image size divided by the subject size, which is 20 divided by 10, we will have 2x magnification. We will often use that notion or that signification of magnification in the future. If I take a picture of a pen, okay, this pen has a certain size, and it will probably, if I take a complete picture of the pen on the sensor, the image will be probably smaller than the pen itself. Okay, so we call magnification ratio the size of the image divided by the size of the subject. For example, if I take the example of the pen again, okay, I don't know if you can see it, Right here in the center I made a sensor. Okay, it's not very big, but it's a sensor, and inside of the square and the rectangle you see there, which represent the sensor, I have an image of this pen. So the image of the pen is smaller than the pen itself, and for this reason I will say that I have a magnification ratio of the size of the pen divided by the pen. In this example, the pen measurement is 140 millimeter, and the picture size is only 28 millimeter. So 28 divided by 140 gives me 1/5 or 0.2x magnification. We call that range of magnification close-up, the close-up range, and normally the close-up range extend from very small ratio of magnification up to 1:1 or 1x magnification. The next example I want to show you is the life size or the life size or the 1x magnification, where the subject is exactly the same size on the sensor as it is on the subject. For example, right here I have a dice that is that big, and the image of that dice is exactly the same size. So if I take the image size divided by the subject size, 15 millimeter divided by 15 millimeter, I have a magnification ratio of 1x or life size. Finally, okay, for this third example, I will show you where the image size is larger than the subject size itself. Right here I have my pen, and I will take only the point, the tiny point that you see at the end. This tiny point is about 7 millimeter long, and if the image of that point is represented on the graphic as a larger point, which is 28 millimeter on the graphics, then the magnification is the image size 28 divided by the pen size, which is 7. 28 divided by 7 is 4. So I have a magnification ratio of 4x, and in this case we are no more into the macro range, but we are into the extreme macro range of photography. Okay, and now let's talk about something more interesting. We'll talk about the equipment itself that you need to take some of those close-up or macro photography. The simplest way to start into close-up photography is to use what we call close-up lens. These are simple lens. They are just magnifier, like the magnifier you use to read a text or something like that. So they are just lens, convergent lens, that you put in front of a standard lens or any kind of lens. You just screw it in the front, and then you can get closer to your subject, and consequently you get the larger magnification. These three here on my right are the first one I bought long years ago. They are close-up lens made with a single lens element in it. There is only one piece of glass in those. They are not multi-coated either, so they are very cheap to buy. I got three different strengths of close-up lens. So one is called 1 diopter. This one is 2 diopter, and this one is 4 diopter. The diopter is a measure to describe the strength of the lens. It's a little bit like some eyeglasses. They also have diopter. So these lenses are very cheap and very simple to use. Of course, since they are cheap and since they are not very expensive, These lenses are consequently not the best one for your picture. They will give you some nice enlargement, some nice close-up, but they're not giving you the best result. I have another close-up lens here. This one is, as you can see, it's thicker, it's heavier, and this close-up lens is made with two pieces of glass, two glass elements in it, and because of that, it is better corrected for some kind of lens defect like chromatic aberration or also some other aberration we find into lenses. It costs more, and there is not as many choice as these cheaper one, but they're giving you a better quality. And finally, if you really want the best, there is a company called Raynox. They do many close-up lens. Here I got two different power of close-up lens. The nice thing about the Raynox close-up lens is first, they are very easy to use. They are the style we call the snap-on type. You just take the lens, put the close-up on it, release the pressure button on the side, and the close-up all to the lens. It's nice and practical, but it's not necessarily the best system if you want the lens to be well centered with the other lens. However, you can always unscrew the lens from the support, and you can attach this lens with a step up or step down ring depending on the lens you use it. The nice thing about the Raynox lens, these lenses are made with three glass elements. They are very well corrected for chromatic aberration and also for other type of aberration you can find in the lens. They cost more. They cost about $100 each, but you will get a lot better result than with any other type of close-up lens. Another way to go into macro and close-up photography is to use extension tube. Extension tubes are just ring that fit between the lens and between the camera. These lenses are empty. I mean, there is no piece of glass in it, you know. So these lenses are empty, and they are just spacer that can increase magnification and help you to get closer to the subject. I made a video explaining how it works, how the light rays works inside of a lens, and it explains also why using spacer like that help you to get a higher magnification. So it's a technical video that I made, and you can have a look at it if you really want to know the technical side of these accessories. Extension tube come in different thickness depending how much magnification you need, and also what type of lens you use. For wide angle and for normal lens, you normally use the thinner one. If you want to go with a longer lens like a telephoto or zoom lens, then I recommend using the bigger one to get more magnification. I got two sets of the extension tube right here on the table. The first set at the front is an old set that I bought years ago. I think it was in the 70s or the 80s, 1980s. They are plain mechanical ring, you know, just adapter that fit the lens to the camera, and they don't have any more function than that. But today the lens, the new lens we have today, the modern lens we have today, require something more technical. I got the same thing, extension tube, no glass inside, okay, but these have electrical contact. The reason is, years ago, lenses had a mechanical diaphragm that you could set with a ring that is on the lens. Modern lenses now don't have this ring anymore. there is no ring to adjust the diaphragm. Diaphragm or aperture is adjusted from the camera through electrical contact that you have on the rear of your lens. And of course, if you want to be able to control the aperture on your lens when you use extension tube, it is necessary that this tube can make a connection between the camera and the lens. So they are very easy to use. You just put the lens on the tube and then you just attach the tube to the camera. Okay, close-up lens take you into the close-up range of the magnifications. Extension tube is also in the close-up range, but bring you closer to the macro range. To really get into the macro range, you will need to get more space between the lens and between the camera. So this is why you will need to use a bellow. A bellow is just an accordion spacer that attach to the camera at the rear, and at the front we can attach a lens. And the advantage of the bellow is it is longer than the extension tube, but you can also adjust the length of the bellow such a way that you can change the magnification as you need. So with bellows you can get larger magnification than you can get with the other accessories right there. As you can see, most of the equipment I use at the moment is Nikon equipment. I started years ago with Nikon and I stayed with Nikon. Doesn't mean that the other brands are not as good. In fact, in the 90s I had the chance to get this Olympus bellow. Didn't buy the bellow because mine was not good enough. The bellow is as good or not better, or it's the same than the other one. I bought the Olympus bellow because Olympus made some very special lens specifically for bellows. These lenses are optimized in quality to give you good result at large magnification. One of the lens that I use with the Olympus bellow is the Olympus 80mm f4. This lens is designed to give excellent result around 1x magnification. So for if you want to copy slide or copy negative with special equipment, this lens is going to give you very good result. On the bellow itself, I have a 38mm lens for bellow. It's not a regular lens, it's a lens designed for bellow. And this lens is especially good between about, I would say, 3x to 8x magnification. So you can take picture of a very, very small subject with this one. And finally, I have a third lens made by Olympus for this bellow. This one is a 20mm. It's a very, very tiny lens. I don't know if you can see it at the end. The lens itself is very tiny. It's almost a microscope lens. This lens is good for a range of magnification between, I would say, 8x to 15x. So at 15x, that means you can take a picture of a subject that is about 2mm by 3mm or even smaller. So this is a good acquisition that I got years ago. I like it. Depending on the kind of work I do, I use either the Nikon system or the Olympus system. And finally, excuse me. Finally, a last type of equipment I'd like to talk to you are the macro lenses. Macro lenses are made specifically to give you good optical quality at the close range, and they also are designed to help you to get close to the subject. This one is kind of old. I would say it's from the beginning of the 70s. It's a 55 micron Nikkor, and it's an old design where the magnification is obtained by turning the focusing ring, and when you do so, you will see that the lens is extending. If you look at it at the moment, it's a lot longer than when I turn it back to the infinity, where it is smaller. This is an old design. It's a 55 macro lens, and it gives an excellent result. This lens, I mainly use it when I work with the Bellows, because Bellows or extension tube give you better results with short lens than with long lens. But if you want to take picture of live subject like fly, like a butterfly or grasshopper, whatever, I recommend you to use a longer lens. This one is a 105 millimeter lens, and this one is a 180 millimeter lens. Both lenses work with a different concept in the design. If you look at it, when I turn the focusing ring, the lens doesn't change in length. It's a different design that make the lens short, so it doesn't extend very long like it could be. And it gives you good result in macro photography. The 105 is nice if you want to take care of a subject that can be scared, and 200 millimeter is even better because you can work with a longer front distance from the lens. The also advantage of using a lens that have a long distance in front is not only that you don't scare the insect, but also you are less subject to project a shadow on your subject when you get too close of it. If I was going that close and the sun was behind my head, I'd probably get a shadow on the subject. But with the long range of that lens, get more chance to have a nice lighting on the subject. So that covers most of the equipment you can use for close-up and macro photography. As a reminder, close-up lenses are good to get into the close-up range of magnification. Extension tube, you can go into the close-up and near the macro range of magnification. Bellows, you will get you into the extreme macro and almost into the microscopic range of focus. And finally, for some that are interested to get really high magnification, it is also possible to use microscope lenses on either a Bellows or some special equipment, or even on a telephoto lens like the 135 or the 180 or the 200 millimeter lens. These microscope lenses can be adapted to those, and you can get really high magnification with microscope lens. In the near future, I will prepare a more detailed video about each one of those equipments so you can know them better. And I will also tell you about special technique like, for example, like focus stacking. I will tell you more about that. If you enjoyed that video, please subscribe to my channel, and please give me a like or a thumbs up, so that will motivate me to make more and more video on close-up and macro photography. Until next video, enjoy photography.